Trainer Neville Brown described Swift Fancy as a once-in-a-lifetime chaser, but unfortunately, greyhound fans were only ever treated to just a glimpse of his true ability. When injury brought a halt to the outstanding galloper's career, he had faced the starter on just 20 occasions, winning 9 times, 5 in the best of the night, as well as being in the placings on 7 occasions. But his efforts on the track have already been exceeded by those as a sire. Swift Fancy has already thrown group performers and track record holders, including Group 1 Paws of Thunder winner Iona 7.
Iona 7 is still there on the corner. The record holder Punch One Out's running on. It's Iona 7 in front. Iona 7's too good.
By the champion sire Collision, out of the top brood bitch Flash Fancy, Swift Fancy was a member of a superb litter that included national sprint winner Smooth Fancy, Fancy Step, Fancy Devil and Fancy Owl. Flash Fancy is by Brett Lee out of Miss Fancy, who also threw multiple Group 1 chasers such as Perfect Fancy, JL, Top Fancy, Chantilly Doll and Magic Tears, with the dam line descending to Gaze Fancy, Fancy U and Arctic Magna. Swift Fancy opened his account on the track with a stunning 21.5 length victory at Grafton in a heat of the Maiden Classic, before stringing 3 wins together at Bathurst. Heading to the spacious one-turn track at Bulli, Swift Fancy was airborne when he stopped the clock in a brilliant 26.05.
Fancy harking up very quickly to join it. They were followed out wider on the course by Emily's Delight, Shrewd Linda Lee, Midnight Bond and Black Star Lass around those down the side of the track, and racing clear now Swift Fancy. Midnight Bolt and Myro Bolt were next as they turn, followed by Black Star Lass, but around the corner, and this is dashed right away Swift Fancy. Midnight Bond works to second, but Midnight of this is Swift Fancy has romped in. Swift Fancy by 7 lengths.
First up at Wentworth Park, he clocked 29.95 when winning by more than 8 lengths, before stepping out in a heat of the Richmond Derby from box 3 to run a near record 30.26.
And away, Swift Fancy left only fairly. Tyson Magic began fast. Now Swift Fancy musters good early speed. Rain Over Me goes with him. Turning to the first bend, Swift Fancy took the lead by a couple to Tyson Magic. Emo Appeal is third, and they're followed by Patch Up Job. Rain Over Me lost its spot, and then comes Vagrant a fair way off them with Fancy Step, and as they go off the back straight, Cool Flight as last of all, but Swift Fancy quickly put up a margin, straightened up 6 lengths in front of Tyson Magic. Out wide a Patch Up Job and Rain Over Me, but Swift Fancy bolts it in.
Unfortunately, just 2 starts later, Swift Fancy's career would come to an end after he broke down in a heat of the Group 1 Golden Easter Egg when a short price favourite. Blistering speed, beautifully bred, and now a proven sire of greyhounds blessed with pace and strength. If that's what you want in your pups, Swift Fancy is the obvious choice.